Good afternoon, everyone. When I said everyone, I believe there are only two people in the session. We had emphasized that the importance of being on time. So we shall not penalize those. I think Mr. Dilip Roy and Mr. Biswajit are there. We shall not penalize the people who are on time, and those who have those who would be joining later, they have the advantage of, or rather they can take advantage of the recordings, because this session is being recorded and they can catch up with whatever they missed out at the beginning of the session. So
sir.
Yeah. Okay, so who else is there? I believe Biswadeep, Dilip, and Mayuri. Right.
Yes,
Hi,
sir.
Mayuri.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
Good afternoon. So we will move on. Of three of you who had attended the first class on 28th?
Sir, I had attended.
Mayuri, okay, okay, all right. And Biswadeep and Dilip, this is your first class?
No, it's a second class.
Okay, so Biswadeep, this is you had attended.
Yesterday, when last time we have discussed with that's your locations in Bhubaneswar.
Right. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. So today I am joining from Bhubaneswar. All right. So Biswadeep, yes. Dilip, this is your first class, right? Dilip Roy and Ganesh Ram. All right. Doesn't matter. Okay. So for those whose this is your first class, my name is Ajay Sahu. I head the HR, admin, and IT for a joint venture of NTPC and GE Power Systems. I am based out of Noida. And prior to that, I was a global group HR head for Aldabhi group of companies and Genesis group of companies based out of Dubai. And I was handling Middle East and North Africa, South Africa, and Europe. We had our factory in China. And before that, I was with various companies in various sectors of the economy. Lanco Infratech, they were an infrastructure company. Eternit Everest was a Belgian multinational into building materials. Daewoo Motors, they were the first to bring in $1 billion investment into India in 1990s. And that is the company which gave us CLO and Vatij, those iconic cars. I started my career with NTPC Limited as a management trainee. Apart from my corporate interest, I am also passionately interested about the academia. I am a visiting professor for I am Raipur, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, NTPC School of Business, which is a joint venture of NTPC, and I am Ahmedabad, JP Business School, and I hold a MBA degree from FMS and a master's degree from JNS. That's about me. This is the course which I would be covering in 5 sessions. This is the second session, and today in the afternoon we'll have a third session as well. So today we'll be covering individual interventions as a OD tool, and the remaining part of individual interventions. And in the second half, we will be covering team interventions. So that's what is lined up for today. Yeah. So 28th, we had our first class. Today, we're going to have two classes, 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And on 19th, we'll have the fourth class, and 26th will be the last class. All right. So, like I had said in the first, like I had told you in the first session itself, either you can participate, interact, share your experiences, or you can keep quiet and let me kill you by my PowerPoint presentation. So the choice is yours, whether you want to keep quiet or you want to participate. All right, life or death. All right. So let's, by the time other people are joining in, let's just have a quick recap of what we did in the last class, especially for those who are joining this course for the first time today. This is what we had covered in the last class. We had talked about the definition of organization development, which is a system-wide intervention. And it's a planned intervention, which is normally initiated by the top management. At least they are the sponsors. And the organizational interventions are basically meant for organizational effectiveness at the individual level, at the team level, and at the entire organizational level as well. So these are basically four aspects of organization development. It's a planned effort, it's organization-wide, it's managed from the top, and the interventions are basically meant to increase organizational effectiveness and organizational health. So there are three types of organizational interventions: individual interventions, team interventions, and organization-wide interventions. And some of the examples of these three categories are like individual interventions, which are basically one-on-one interventions. Some of the examples are mentoring, coaching, individual development plans, buddy system, work shadowing program. We had discussed each one in the last class. Team interventions, some of the examples are team building exercises. It can be intra-group team building or intergroup team building. Another example of team intervention would be short-term team projects with profit and loss responsibility. They are also called project-based interventions or the problem-based interventions. And another third example would be sensitivity training or the T group training. The organization-wide interventions could be like culture change. In that, I had given an example of the culture change exercise, which we did for a express delivery company, where we moved them from a trucking culture to a sense of urgency culture. And digital transformation, again, is another example of organization-wide intervention. So these are some of the examples of OD interventions at individual, team, and organization level. The meaning of individual intervention is basically simple, that is one-on-one. One uses these interventions to increase individual effectiveness. And we talked about, although there are many individual interventions, we wanted to emphasize and go deep dive into three basic individual interventions, major ones. The first one is inquiry window, which we completed in the last session. Today, we'll be doing appreciative inquiry and transactional analysis. Johari window, as we had mentioned, it comes from the authors or the two management gurus who actually gave it, Joseph Luft and Harry Ingham. Joe comes from Joseph and Harry comes from Harry Ingham. So they talked about four. It's a 2x2 matrix of whether you know certain things about yourself or not, and whether other people know certain things about you or not. So it makes it a 2x2 matrix. The first one is called the open self, where you put things which are known to you as well as known to others, information about that both you and others know. Then there is a hidden self which you hide from others. These are the stuff which you know, but others do not know about it. And you spend a lot of time of your life putting it under the carpet, and which is not a very nice place to be in, because you're always on the lookout whether other people would come to know about what you are hiding. So that's called the hidden self. Then there is the third quadrant, which is called the blind self. And that's where there are things which you are not aware of, but other people are aware of things about you. It's like the mirror. When you drive, there is a blind spot where the vehicle which is coming from behind is not known to you, but that vehicle is a reality. And the last one is the quadrant where there are stuff which neither you nor others know about it. We had given the example of the movie Dhoni, where you'd see that Dhoni was a footballer and nobody knew, neither he nor others knew that he could be a world-class cricketer. And he came to cricket only by chance because the wicketkeeper of the school team did not turn up and he had to fill in his place. So we had also discussed that the open self is the quadrant where both you as well as others feel very comfortable working in. And that's the reason why it's also called the arena. And we have talked about how to increase your arena, like whatever is there in the blind self, how do you bring it to the open self? Whatever is there in the hidden self, how do you bring that to your open self? And of course, how to have access to the unknown self. So we discussed that if you want to bring whatever is there in the hidden self to the open self, you need to share, right? Unless you share, people will not have access to your hidden self. Similarly, if you want whatever is there in the blind self to come to the open, to the arena, then you'll have to ask, right? So simple acts of sharing or telling, and the simple act of asking is what opens up your open area or the arena, and you as well as others are very comfortable working in that arena. Similarly, how do we have access to the unknown self? One, like Dhoni did through something which is called serendipity or by chance. But you don't have to depend on chance always. You can actually have access to the unknown area by asking others, trying on different things. That's through self-discovery as well as shared discovery. So that's how your unknown area, you can throw light on your unknown area and have access to whatever is there in that unknown area. So this is what we did till last class. I had also shared a Johari window questionnaire. Anybody who has done that Johari window questionnaire? Either
Yes,
you can
sir.
speak up. Yeah. Mayuri, you did that?
I did it.
Okay, great. So how did that turn out?
So it's good. Good experience because you were trying to understand yourself.
Yeah.
And I had one point in the open area, and the other one was in the hidden area.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of tried to explain to myself that probably when I was younger, I would have been completely in the open area.
Yeah.
As I think you grow in age as well as in experience,
Yeah.
there are certain things that really don't bother you much.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where probably you get into the hidden zone.
Okay.
Don't
All
tell
right.
people that they don't bother you because they really don't bother you or they are not of significance today.
Mm-hmm.
But it probably be a reason where others think not getting bothered by this. Uh, but you yourself know why it doesn't bother you. So it's known to you, but not known to others.
Okay. All right.
That is
Anybody
my
else?
explanation. I might be wrong.
Okay. All right. See, as long as you are comfortable with your Johari window, you may be very comfortable with the Johari window, but others may not. Say, for example, if your hidden area is too large, then other people will not be very comfortable with you because if you don't share, they don't share, right? So both of you become closed books. Similarly, if you have too large blind area and too large area which is not open, the fourth quadrant, then you are actually losing out on your potential, right? So have a look at it once again after today's both classes, and decide for yourself whether you want to open up your arena, open up your open area, and where do you want to work, right? To tell more, to seek feedback, to ask more, try out different things, go where you have never gone before. Maybe you will become freer, right, as you walk down the path of life. Maybe.
Completely
Just
agree.
try it out.
Completely agree.
Okay. Anybody else who has done the Johari window questionnaire? Okay. Nobody else has tried. All right, doesn't matter. So do try it out. It's very interesting, very interesting. You know about yourself, right? And there is this in Greece. There was a god. His name was Apollo, and on the temple of Apollo, there's an inscription which goes back to maybe what 26 centuries, and it says in Greek it reads like gnoti. I'm forgetting the Greek inscription. It actually says in English translation it says know yourself, right? It's very poignant. It's very philosophical. Like if you want to know God, if you want to meet God, you have no business to meet God unless you know yourself, right? So it says right at the beginning, right at the entrance, it says know yourself, right? So Johari window is a window to your own inner self, right? So you know yourself through Johari window, and that opens up many possibilities for you in your life. All right. So do try it out. My suggestion would be that. All right. So moving on, there is the second individual intervention, which is called appreciative inquiry. All right. So okay. What is this? This is a stethoscope, right? And mostly the doctors use this, right? And what do they do with the stethoscope? They basically try to find out what's wrong with you, and once they know what's wrong with you, then they can prescribe medicines or surgery or any medical intervention, right? So basically, what is the role of the doctor? The role of the doctor is to diagnose, right? And what do the doctors diagnose? They diagnose what's wrong with you, right? And so that they would be able to prescribe the right medicine, right? So basically, they are looking at you as someone who has something deficient in them, right? In terms of some chemical balance, or whether you have some germs in you. So there's something wrong with you, right? So when you go to a doctor, you feel that there's something wrong with you. The doctor also looks at you as if there is something wrong with you, right? And some of you may be trainers, and some of you may want to become trainers, right? And we as trainers, we also are like doctors, right? So why do we train people? We train people because we think that there is something wrong with them, and they lack certain competencies, they lack certain skill sets, and through training, we would want to bridge that gap, right? So in performance appraisal, there is a term called NFI, need for improvement, right? So who decides who needs improvement? It is the boss, right? So he or she decides that you need improvement, and he calls up the training manager and tells him that these are the people who need improvement in these areas, like interpersonal relationship, and communication, and leadership, whatever. And the training manager jumps into designing a program and implementing that program. That's how it happens, right? And there is a joke which goes like, never ever wish a doctor or a lawyer a happy new year. Because if they have a happy new year, then it just shows that there are too many people who are sick, right? Anyway, that's a joke. But there is another way of looking at things, right? You don't look at people as if they are lacking something. Everybody, I mean, you, me, everybody has something or other areas where we are lacking, right? But we have our strengths. It's easier to leverage the strength than try and bridge the gap in areas where we lack. So the appreciative inquiry, the philosophy behind appreciative inquiry is this, that how to help people to leverage their strengths rather than trying to find out what are their weaknesses and try and improve upon those weaknesses. The reason behind this philosophy is simple, that one, everybody has their weaknesses. Two, the weaknesses are a perception of someone else, right? So which may or may not be true, right? So it's easier to find what the strengths people have and try and build on that strength, right? So this is what is the philosophy and the operational principle behind appreciative inquiries. So appreciative inquiry is a strengths-based positive approach to leadership development and organizational change. It's a co-evolutionary. Co-evolutionary and cooperative means you need the cooperation of the person. So you co-create the future. So both you as a facilitator or a trainer or an OD interventionist and the person with whom you are working, both of you try and co-create the future for the person involved by identifying the strengths and trying to see to what extent the strengths can be leveraged. All right. Here, let me tell you a story. Right. There was this guy, there was a farmer, and at the end of a very strenuous day, he comes back home, and in the darkness, he hears a whisper, as if two persons are talking to each other, but in very hushed voice. So he was a little intrigued as to who could be speaking at this hour. Then he goes and hears tries to listen from where the sound is coming. Then he sees that there are two pots which he normally uses to go and fetch water. So these two pots are talking to each other. Somehow he knows the language of the pots, right? So one pot, in fact, both the pots were from the same potter when the farmer had bought those pots from there. And one pot is telling the other that I'm very sorry for my master. I have a defect, and I have a hole in me, and my master takes both of us to fetch water, and by the time he reaches home, half of the water is drained out, and I'm so ashamed of myself that I am not able to serve my master. And the farmer did not tell anything to either of the pots, and next day in the morning he again goes to fetch water. And while coming back, he tells the pots, he actually sets them down and talks to them, and he tells them that, have you noticed anything on your side of the road? So they said, yes, we did notice that the side which is closer to the pot which has a hole, it's full of flowers, and the side which is on the other side where the intact pot is there, it's all barren. So then we do not know why it is, but this is what we have observed. Then the farmer tells them that when I bought both the pots, I knew about the shortcoming of one of the pots, that it had a hole in it, right? And I decided that I will keep both the pots. And when the first time I went up the hill to fetch the water, I had carried a few seeds of flowering plants, and I just put those seeds on the side where the so-called defective pot would come, and it would spill its water, and that water actually watered the seeds, and they flowered, and you would see a beautiful line of flowers while I walk back. So it's a story about appreciative inquiry. Like the farmer could have actually discarded the pot and bought another intact pot, but he won't have the pleasure of walking on a road full of flowers, right? So he decided that the hole in that pot is actually not a defect. It's actually a strength, and it can be used to beautify the path he takes every day. So this is another story. In fact, it's a real story where there was this curator in Philadelphia. His name was Robert Blackson. And one day he was taking a walk in a school in South Philadelphia, and he saw that in the school there is a space where they have put all the broken musical instruments. There were cellos, there were drums, there were trumpets, there were pianos. Then it just set him thinking that just because there is the one instrument is having some defect, people don't even touch it, right? And but that instrument has some music in it. It may not be perfect, but it can be played. And what he did was he created he wrote a symphony called the Symphony for a Broken Orchestra. And in December 2017, he actually had a concert where 400 musicians came and performed the piece called Symphony for a Broken Orchestra, and which was actually a roaring success. So these are the two stories, one fictional, the other is real, which tells us the philosophy behind appreciative inquiry, where you don't discard people because they may have some defect or other, but you try and find out what is their strengths and try and build on that strength, right? So how do you do that? The first and foremost, it's called a 4D process for appreciative inquiry process. The first D is discover. So you don't discover what is wrong with them. You discover what is right with them. You discover what is their strengths. And once you discover what the strength of the person is, then try and think about what use that particular strength can be put to. Like the farmer, he discovered that the pot had a hole, right? Instead of discarding that pot, what he did was he dreamt of a path full of flowers, right? So that's the second stage, is the dream. Discover, then dream. So once you have dreamt of a path full of flowers, what do you do next? The third is how to use the seemingly defective piece to contribute to your dream, right? So the farmer carried the seeds, the flowering seeds, and put them on the side where the leaky pot would actually water those seeds, right? So he designed that, right? So discover, dream, then design. And fourth is deploy, right? That's what he did. So he deployed that design, and lo and behold, he had a path which is soothing to the eye and soothing to not only him, but all the passers-by. And he although he gets just half a pot full of water every day from the so-called defective pot, but he has entire path strewn with flowering plants, right? So these are the four components of appreciative inquiry process: discover, dream, design, and deploy. And so apart from this 4Ds, its appreciative inquiry is also looked upon as a three-legged stool. The first leg of the stool is appreciation. So you need to appreciate the person, right? And there could not be a person who is absolutely useless, right? So everybody, you, me, everyone has something or other in which we excel, right? Let me give you an example. I mean, it could be an example of appreciative inquiry. Say for example, there's an employee in Amazon, and that person is young, and that person is, although he's an engineer, he's more interested in playing video games rather than attending to his duties, right? And his manager notices that whenever this person has any free time, he would actually play video games on the laptop, right? So what would you and me try to do, right? We would try to, say, discipline this person, right? And castigate him, and maybe send him a memo, or in the worst case, you fire the guy, right? But an appreciative inquiry intervention would be that to find out how to best use this person's expertise in video games, right? Can you think of any way this particular skill set can be used? Okay, let me tell you that Amazon is venturing into delivering the packages and goods by what is that called? Unmanned aerial vehicles. Yeah, what are those called? Anybody? Drones. Okay, so they have started delivering through drones also. So drone, somebody who is good at video games could actually be good at flying a drone. So instead of sacking this guy, he could actually be put in a new role of drone delivery, right? So this could be an example of appreciative inquiry in real life, right? So this is the three-legged stool: appreciation, inquiry, and wholeness. Wholeness is basically try to look at people as wholes, as consisting of things which are good, things which are bad, which are ugly, right? And accept people as they are, right? Because all of us, we have our own demons, we have our own strengths, weaknesses, like everybody else, right? If we consider ourselves to be wholes and we accept ourselves, why not accept others too, and try and build on their strengths, right? So this is the three-legged stool of appreciative inquiry: appreciation, inquiry, and wholeness. All right. Okay. So before we go on to transactional analysis, which is the second initiative or second intervention, which is of individual variety in OD. Any questions or anything you'd like to share? Any clarity you want to have? Yeah. Anybody? Mr. Advani, you are quiet today.
Yes, sir. No, basically, regarding this appreciative inquiry,
Yeah.
the only negative is that it does not take into factor the weaknesses.
Yeah. It doesn't. It tries to leverage the strengths and try to use the strengths of the person for organizational benefit. You're right. You're right.
So sometimes,
yeah.
So sometimes basically when we talk about the appreciative inquiry,
yeah,
we talk about the SWOT, so sometimes we might miss out on that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Taken. Anybody else? Mayuri, what about you?
Nothing much, sir. I think appreciative inquiry to me will be better used when there's a lot of I think mindset change and culture change in people.
Yeah.
Because just looking at the positives is practically impossible for people.
Yeah.
I think everybody, especially managers, I think they end up even during performance appraisal discussions, while they have been coached to probably look at areas of improvement and what went right. I think they start any performance discussion more with a fault finding session.
Yeah.
I think those changes can only help bring these concepts to their full glory, because still people change, and they change the way they look at others. Difficult for these concepts to really be put into practice.
Right, right. Thank you, Mayuri. Anybody else? Mr. Tamil Selvan?
Also, one more thing I would like to add, sir.
Mr. Advani, yes.
Yes, yeah. So basically, another thing that I would like to add over is, talking about the appreciative inquiry. It is also based on the assumption, that you have everybody doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it is also based on the assumption that yes, everything is going smooth, and that everybody in the organization is contributing, and everybody is kind of well trained, kind of an aspect.
Yeah.
But in reality, that's not the case. So it is
Right.
only a theoretical approach more than a practical approach.
Okay. Okay. All right. So basically, it's an alternate way of looking at things, right? The example
correct.
which I gave you regarding drone delivery, right? So it could actually be, because see, drone delivery is not taught in the MBA classes, right? Where do the organizations go to get people, right? So they would go basically to the net to find out who are good at video games, right? So and when you have someone if a person has been chosen recruited by Amazon, he would not be dud, right? So he would have some stuff in him. And apart from that stuff, if he is also good at video games, and which the organization discovers, why not use that expertise in the new video delivery department, which they could start, right? I'm just sorry, the drone delivery department that they could start. So just a wild thought. Yeah. So it's just a alternative way of looking at things, right? So that's what it is. I'm not saying that it's a panacea for all the ills of the organization, or one should just give up on every other interventions and focus on appreciative inquiry alone. But this is one of the interventions one could actually think of. That's my contention. All right, so moving on to the next one, which is called transactional analysis. This is an intervention which was suggested by Eric Berne, In fact, when he suggested in the 1960s, he did not give it that name, transaction analysis. And after his death, his followers and other management gurus, they took it forward, and transaction analysis is what it is today because of a lot of people's contribution, not only of Eric Berne. Eric Berne, he's the guy who is the author of two seminal books, Games People Play and What Do You Say After You Say Hello. And TA took off basically after his death, right? Not during when he was active. And he created this process of transaction analysis for treating patients for psychotherapy. And today, transaction analysis has 4 different areas of use. One is, of course, the psychotherapy. The second is counseling, that is psychoanalysis and psychological counseling. Third is in education. So this transaction analysis is used in education and, of course, in organization and management development. So these are the 4 areas in which transaction analysis is used. So why learn transaction analysis? There are many reasons why one should learn transaction analysis, but the major reason is it tells us how to develop genuine and authentic relationships. And as we go along, you'd come to know as to how it helps in developing genuine and authentic relationship between people. Transaction, as you would know, transaction is basically an interaction between 2 or more persons, right? That's called a transaction. And transaction analysis, it analyzes how people interact with one another, right? And by wearing which hat they are interacting with one another, and how those interactions can be analyzed, and better behavior can be suggested. Okay. All right. So, this theory was developed by Eric Berne. Original theory was expanded by a group of people, and the principles of TA can be applied whenever and wherever people deal with people, right? So whether it is at home, at office, or in community, it's actually, once you know the terms, once you know the processes, the concepts, it's very interesting actually to analyze the conversations which happens, whether it is between you and your spouse, you and your child, you and your peer, or you overhear any conversation which is going on between 2 people, and it's very interesting. So yeah. So transaction analysis, it helps in smooth communication and, of course, building an authentic and genuine relationship. So smooth communication, because it makes us aware of where we come from, right? So like when somebody tells you something, what's the time, right? So you can always reply that the time is, say, 12:50 p.m. But you can also give other answer. Like you can always say, why don't you wear a watch like everybody else, right? So that's also an answer, right? Or somebody tells you that I love you, right? And one response could be I love you too. Or you can always say, I mean, another response could be that why are you always so flippant, right? So uh, transaction analysis actually tells you, I mean, it actually puts the response from a range of responses at your disposal, which you can use to make yourself as well as the other person at ease, to tell the other person that, yes, I'm okay, you are okay, right? So the first and foremost use of transaction analysis is responding appropriately in any situation by being able to deliberately choose from among the full range of behavioral choices available. Second is authenticity, relating to others sincerely, genuinely, without any exploitative or manipulative intentions. Like through your communication, you can actually manipulate people, right? A salesman who wants to sell an expensive car to a senior person, right? Somebody who is say 50 plus. And the salesman tells this gentleman that shows a car and tells him that this is the finest car in our showroom, but it is too fast for you, right? He tells this person, this is the finest car in our showroom, but this is too fast for you. This is not a communication. So the salesperson has an ulterior motive, right? He wants to sell this expensive car, but he wants to hook on to the child in that older man, right? So that he gets incensed that what does he think of himself? I can, of course, drive fast. I can drive a fast car. And Jid say he can just pick up that expensive car, which he may not require, right? So it's not an authentic transaction. It's this is what is called ulterior transaction, right? So TA actually teaches us how to make authentic and genuine transactions without manipulating people. All right. So when do we when do our personalities grow and mature? In fact, Eric Berne and other psychologists of his genre, like even Sigmund Freud, they considered that by the age of 6, a large part of our personality is already formed, right? And whatever happens after that is we just build on it, and but majority of a major chunk of our personality is fully formed by the age of 6. And how is it shaped? It is shaped by the way the parents treat a child and the child's interpretation and response to those treatments. This is how the personality is formed. TA also talks about certain concepts called strokes, attributions, injunctions. We will learn about these concepts as we go along. First, stroke, right? Strokes are basically verbal, hang on. Yeah, verbal and non-verbal expressions of recognition or appreciation, right? So you can give a positive stroke or a negative stroke to a person, right? So a positive stroke could actually heighten the person's self-worth, that I'm good, I am worth it. Or a negative stroke can be detrimental, both to that person as well as it can lower the self-esteem also. A positive stroke, can somebody give an example of a positive stroke which makes the other person feel good? Yeah.
So you can compliment the person on his if he's achieved
Yeah.
his goal, or give a little appreciation.
Yeah. Yeah. You did a good job. I am
So
happy that,
that's a positive stroke.
yeah, I am happy that you are always on time, right?
Yeah.
To office. That's a positive stroke. Negative
Correct.
stroke. Any example of a negative stroke?
So basically, talking down to the person,
Yeah. Yeah.
and lowering his morale or
Yeah.
motivation.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Jagannath Kulkarni, please.
I think the words that we choose are very important.
Yeah.
When resulting into anything, it's the same thing can be said in one way or the other. So
Yeah.
the choice of words is, I think, important, and that makes
Yeah.
the body.
Right. Right. A negative stroke can be either purely negative, or it can be a disguised negative stroke also. Like, for example, if somebody comes to the class a little late, right? The teacher can sarcastically say that you are early for the next class, right? So it's a negative stroke, right? But it's a disguised negative stroke, right? So these are examples of strokes, both positive and negative. Attributions are things which you tell a person, like you are like this, right? Attribution. Like you say that to a girl child, you say you're a beautiful girl, or such a strong man, strong little man. So the child feels good, right? That yes, I am a beautiful girl, or I'm a strong man, right? So basically, what the parental figure or the father figure tells the person, that you are like this and be like this. This is the best, right? This is called attribution. And uh, as time passes, and once and the attributions, they pile on, right? Many times it becomes hardwired, right, in the psyche of the child. And as the child grows up, even to the adulthood, he or she would like to be like that, right? If the child believes that the attribution that during childhood, such a strong little man, he may, you never know, grow up to be a person who would like to build muscles and be strong, both not only physically but even mentally, that right? That's attribution. Injunction is the opposite, like don't do this, don't do that, right? Parents do tell their children, right? Give injunctions. So so here the this is to be avoided, right? So not doing this is the best, right? So don't show your feelings, right? Could be an example. Or boys don't cry is an injunction, right? If you are a boy, you are not supposed to show your emotions, right? So that's so. And the boy, when he grows up to a man, he becomes emotionless and very stoic, right? So injunction becomes hardwired in the psyche of the child when he or she grows up, right? So attributions and injunctions, when they are repeated often enough, they become hardwired in the brain, and these continue to influence the behavior of the child when he or she grows up. Okay, so this is regarding strokes, attributions, and injunctions, right? Strokes, attributions. These are some of the concepts which transactional analysis uses. Another concept which the TA uses is life positions, right? Life positions. Life positions are basically the way of behaving which becomes hardwired into your the repertoire of behaviors that you choose, right? You can have a healthy life position where you are aware of your own views, as well as you want to give a positive stroke to the other person also, right? You give positives, you feel good about yourself, and you want to give positive stroke to the other person as well, right? I am okay, you are okay, right? So this is a win-win healthy life position. You can also become a bully in the sense you feel that you are good, but the other person is not good enough, right? So I am okay and you are not okay. So this is a win-lose life position. And this is the life position which is adopted by the bullies in the school or colleges, where they would bully other children, right? I am okay, you are not okay. Then there are people who would actually bring themselves down, right? In the eyes of others, that yes, I'm not okay, but you are okay. You would recall the perpetual crying moms in Bollywood movies, right? They would take on all the burden and try to make life easier for their husband, their children, and they will suffer throughout the movie, right? That's the position, life position of a loser. I'm not okay, but you are okay. So it's a lose-win life position. And finally, there are people who would not feel good about themselves, and they also feel that other people are not worth it either, right? And which is your life position, which is I'm not okay, you are not okay, right? And those are the people who would be antisocial. They could be suicidal, they could be homicidal, they could be criminals. So that is a lose-lose life position. So you have 4 life positions: healthy, bully, loser, suicidal. So healthy is win-win, bully is win-lose, loser is lose-win, and suicidal would be lose-lose. These are the life positions, all right? Eric Berne, this is a very famous quote from Eric Berne, which says that all children are born princes and princesses. It's the elders who turn them into frogs, right? So how do the children develop their personality? By the way the parents treat them, right? And either the way the parents treat them is what is the reality, or the way the parents treat them is what is perceived by the child, right? And his or her way of coping with that perception, right? So it can be either way. And that is, and perception, mind you, is actually as real, right? Because for that person, that is the reality. The perception is the reality, right? No matter what other realities exist, but the perception is the reality for the person who is perceiving, right? And that person's entire behavior is dependent on that perception. So one should be aware of, and one should not disregard the perception of people, because they are as real can be. So say for example, a child is the only child of the parents, and he's pampered, and suddenly the couple has another child, right? A daughter, and this boy is say 5-year-old, and once the daughter is born, the all the attention of the parents shift to that daughter because obvious reasons, and uh, there are instances where the boy who has been like the uh, potty trained, or he has control over the bladder during the night, he starts wetting the bed, right? And these are real instances. When the second child comes, why does the boy do that? The psychologists say that this is to gain attention of the parents. That if he wets the bed, then the attention, whether it is positive or negative, many times the parents would actually shout at him, but negative attention is also attention, right? And the boy, he continues to wet the bed to get attention, and that behavior may actually be carried over to the adulthood. That if the person does something wrong, then the society would sit up and take notice, right? So what have we done? We have actually turned a prince into a frog, right? Through this reinforcement that we give to a behavior which is considered negative, like wetting bed. All right. So there's another concept. We have talked about attribution. We have talked about injunction. We have talked about strokes. There's another concept which is called a script, right? Script, as you know, that in movies, what is a script? Script is it actually describes in very great detail as to how the acting should be, how the camera should move, what should be the angle of the camera, what would be the setting. Everything is there in the script, right? For the director, for the actors, for the other people who are involved in the filmmaking. So script in TA, transaction analysis, is basically a collection of learned personal and social habits, mostly derived from childhood experiences. And we basically live out that script. Once we grow older, we try and live out that script. And the scripts contain drivers, like what drives our behavior, right? And which are messages that we learned during our childhood and which drive us into certain behaviors. The example which I gave, wetting the bed. Wetting the bed is considered a socially negative behavior, right? But that behavior gains attention, right? And when we grow older, we indulge in other socially unacceptable behavior to gain attention of the society at large. So that becomes our driver. That becomes our script. And where have we learned that script? From our childhood days, right? So what are the drivers? Normally, there are 5 different types of drivers which drive our behavior. Hurry up, be perfect, please people, try hard, be strong. All right. Hurry up. What does the hurry up driver tells us to do? Hurry up is a type of people who are always rushing themselves and They would also rush other people also. Like you would see this type in offices, right? The boss who has a hurry up driver, they would give you some work, and every 5 minutes they will check on you whether that has been done. And they would also come and stand behind you as to what you are doing, and they would try and micromanage, right? So those are the hurry up types. Be perfect types are the people who would want to give a perfect product, right? And in the process, they would miss the timelines, right? They would try and gather as much information as they can so that their product would be perfect. So they are basically perfectionist. The please people drive, people having this kind of drive, please people drive, they try to they try always to please. The Hollywood, the Bollywood moms I was talking about, who are they have that lose win kind of behavior. They are also please people, persons with please people drive. They always aim to please, and they worry about the people's opinion about themselves, right? So they are always out to gain the accolades from other people. Try hard are the guys who take on more than they can manage. They bite off more than they can chew. And in the process, like everybody has certain capacity to be able to do some things, and invariably they would collapse under the burden of having taken on too many things to do, right? So they're the try hard people. And they would also blame that everybody is piling work on me, right? Whereas in the first place, they would actually go out of their way to grab work, right? In the workplace. They are the try hard types. And be strong types are basically people who would not like to show any emotions, right? Like when I was a child, I was very much influenced by Amitabh Bachchan, right? The strong, silent kind, and angry young man, and I would actually copy the persona of Amitabh Bachchan during those days. And so the be strong and types. So those are the people, right? So these are the 5 drivers of our behavior: hurry up, be perfect, please people, try hard, and be strong. Okay, so I'm moving a little fast because I want you to know the concepts which are basically used for transaction analysis. And since we just have 1.5 hours, I would like to expose you to as many concepts as I can, and you may, if it interests you, you may further like to read more about transaction analysis and all the concepts as you go along. So the next concept which I'm going to introduce you to is ego states, right? So ego states are basically hats that a person wears while interacting or transacting with other people, right? Like if if there are two people, say X and Y, and X asks, what time is it? And the Y replies that the time is 15 minutes past 1 p.m. So it's a simple transaction where both of them are not trying to hurt each other, right? So one has just asked a question, the other person has answered truly. What is the hat that both X and Y are wearing? They are wearing the hat of an adult, right? It's a adult to adult transaction, right? But if X asks what time is it, and the Y answers that why don't you wear a watch like everybody else, right? If that is the answer, then which hat do you think the person is wearing? The person is wearing the hat of a parent. So the transaction would be as if it is a parent to a child, right? So the response of why is that from a parent to a child. Why don't you wear a watch like everybody else? So ego states are basically the hats that we wear while we are communicating with others. It can be that of a parent. It can be that of an adult. It can be that of a child. So what is parent ego states? Parent ego states is basically it contains attitudes and behaviors incorporated from the parent figures, right? We have heard and we have watched our parents behave in certain ways when we were children, and we have copied their way of acting, thinking, feeling, even to our adult age, right? So that's what parent ego is. Child ego is, it contains all the impulses that come naturally to a child, right? The and it can actually show up in the behavior of adults as well, right? So if the boss tells the employee that you're coming late, I have been observing that you are always on time, but I have been observing in the last couple of weeks you have been coming late, and it is affecting the morale in the department. So child ego state, how would the child ego state reply to this? The child ego state would reply that you are always picking on me. Why me? Right? That's a child ego state. Adult ego state would be like, yes, I have been having some personal problems, and I'm sorry about that. But I have been making up for the lost time by staying a little later in the evening. And also, I try to finish by taking some work home as well. So that would be an adult ego state, right? So adult ego state is not related to age. It's based on the current, and it's very rational. It's organized, adaptable, intelligent, and rational way of thinking and behaving. So we interact with other people with these three types of ego states: parent ego, child ego, and adult ego. Let me just, yeah. All right. So the ego states can be like the parent ego state can be further divided into the controlling parent or the nurturing parent, right? The controlling parent, the positive behavior is that it can be assertive, like one would want people to be assertive. The behavior takes charge, is decisive, takes responsibility, whereas the negative behavior of a controlling parent who wears the hat of a controlling parent, that ego state would be that it could be biased, it could be finding fault, it could be prescriptive, It could be harsh and punitive. Moving on to the positive and negative behaviors of a nurturing parent. Nurturing parent could be compassionate. Mind you, we are not talking about parent as such. We are talking about people with the parent ego state. It can be a boss, it can be your colleague, it can be your spouse, right? So it can be your neighbor. So we are talking about that parent ego state. So the positive aspect of nurturing parent ego state is it is compassionate, generous, supportive, appreciative, and complimenting. Whereas the negative could be rescuing, right? Rescuing behavior is basically to uh, to to uh, to lend support where support is not required, right? Let me give you an example of a rescuing behavior. There was this. No, I won't give you that story because it'll eat into the remaining part of 10 minutes that we have. All right. So rescuing behavior is basically to give support where support is not required. Other negative behaviors could be taking away initiative, creating dependence, pampering, spoon feeding. Those could be the negative behaviors in a nurturing parent. Adult, of course, the positive behaviors are oriented to current reality because they are rational people. They behave in a logical and analytical manner. Their decisions are based on data. Their self-control. And the negative aspect of an adult could be that they could be perceived as insensitive because they may not be showing much emotions, and they are taskmasters. They are task obsessed. So those could be the negatives. Natural child, the behavior of a natural child would be positive. Would be so the child could actually the child ego state could be natural child. It could be adapted child. So natural child are the children, the childlike behaviors, like when you become happy just for the heck of it, you can just say in an office party, if you are dancing with gay abandon, that's your natural child, which is coming through, right? So the positive behavior could be happy, frank, open, uninhibited, enjoying themselves. Negative could be too free, right? Too frank, high on spontaneity, low on self-control. Adapted child is a behavior, or is it ego state, where the injunctions and the attributions of the parents would be hardwired in future for the adult. So the person could be courteous because that's how the upbringing has been. The person can be obedient. The person follows the norms. He or she is an adapted child. Whereas negative could be complaining, defensive, sulking, submissive. Those also may be learned behaviors from the injunctions and attributions which the child, the adult had learned during his childhood from the parents or the parent figures. Okay, so this is important. Yeah, the transactions which I was talking about, the transactions could be adult to adult transaction, right? And if the transaction from the left adult to the right adult on your screen is responded in the same ego state. If I ask a question to you in an adult manner, like what time is it, and you reply to me that it is 1:30, going to be 1:30 p.m., That's an adult transaction, right? Complementary messages, right? Message is sent to a specific ego state, gets a response from that ego state. So it is adult to adult is a complementary, right? What time is it? 2:45. I'm so worried that my son, about my son, that I can't concentrate on my work. That's what the employee tells. And the manager tells him that you can take the afternoon off and go and see him in the hospital. That's an adult to adult transaction. It's complementary. If the wife tells the husband that I like you, and the husband tells her that I like you too, that's again a adult to adult transaction, right? It's complementary, right? It complements each other. Message sent to a specific ego state gets a response from that ego state. Okay, so the next concept is crossed transaction. Like the first transaction could be from one ego state, but the response could be from another ego state. So adult to adult transaction could have a parent to child response. Example, the message is sent to a specific ego state, and but the response is from another ego state. So this is a cross transaction. Like example is, what time is it? Right? It's an adult transaction, right? Whereas the response is, why don't you wear a watch like everyone else? Right? So it's as if a parent is talking to a child. Okay. Second example, I'm so worried about my son in the hospital, right? So that's a adult to adult transaction. Whereas the response is, we have a deadline to meet. The boss says we have a deadline to meet, so you better get down to it. So it's a parent to child response. The husband says, I like you, right? And what does the wife says? Can't you ever be serious, right? So the transaction I like you is adult to adult, whereas the response, can't you ever be serious, is parent to child, right? That's a cross transaction. So first was complementary, second is cross transaction. Third is ulterior transaction, like the transaction would be, the first transaction would be adult to adult, whereas there is an ulterior motive, right? Like when the salesman tells the senior citizen that this is our best car, and but it's too fast for you, right? So basically the salesman wants to sell the expensive car to this guy, but he wants to hook on to the child in the in that senior citizen, right? The child ego. So if the child ego is hooked on, then what happens is the senior citizen will say, to hell with it, I'm going to buy this. Do you think that I can't drive a fast car? I'm going to buy this, right? So the ulterior motive of the salesman is actually paid off, right? So he got the paid off for that ulterior transaction. But if the senior citizen says, okay, so if you say that it's too fast, maybe I don't want a fast car, show me something else, right? That's an adult to adult. So the ulterior transaction is, these transactions always involve more than two ego states. So the first one would be adult to adult, but there would be a verbal message to one ego state serves as a carrier for the real or the ulterior message, which is addressed to another ego state. So here again, there is one more concept which is called hook, right? So the salesman actually threw a hook to the senior citizen, right? And if the senior citizen actually grabs that hook, then the payoff which the salesman actually wanted, right? What was the payoff that he wanted? He wanted that this guy should buy that expensive car. So if he gets hooked, then the payoff is what the salesman wanted. But if the person ignores that hook, then the game does not work, right? That ulterior transaction doesn't work. So for the ulterior transaction to work, it has to the hook should work, right? Okay. So so these are called games. So basically, the ulterior transactions are called the games. So how does the game work? Game works with a con, right? So you are throwing a ulterior transaction with a gimmick that is too fast for you. That's the gimmick, right? And the response could be that if the person gets hooked, then the response would be, no, I'm going to take this car, come what may. But if the hook is not accepted by the person, the second person, then the game actually falls flat, right? Okay. Okay, so there are so many types of games, like why don't you, yes but, harried, uproar, clever me. These are all different types of games. So I'm going to share this PPT with you so that you know what types of games are there and how people play. But how to avoid these games, right? How to stop being a victim of these games. The first and foremost is there's this triangle called the potency pyramid. Potency pyramid is a strength-based reaction to a transaction, ulterior transaction, where it's the three words which make the vertices of the triangle are powerful, responsible, and vulnerable. So powerful is taking action when you should, right? So that's the response that helps you to come out of a game. Responsibility is taking responsibility only for those things that are truly ours to deal with, like not to be a victim of being strong, right? Otherwise people will pile on work on your table. And vulnerable is not to show that you are not vulnerable, or you are too strong and you don't want to show emotions, you don't want to take help from others. So the vulnerability is displaying your own vulnerability and asking for help when you need it, right? There's one more concept which you should know, which is called rackets, right? Games are basically transactions where you require at least two people, right? Whereas rackets are those transactions where you don't require any second person. Like there are helpful rackets, like when you try to help others when there is no need to, right? There rescuing is basically a helpful racket, that you want to help where no help is needed. Helpless rackets are those rackets where we act helpless, and that would force people to pity on us, right? So we want people to pity us. And hurtful rackets are rackets where we blame others for how we feel, right? Like if I don't get promoted, I blame my senior or my boss, right? I don't look at myself. If I don't do well in life, I blame my parents that they did not help me get into a better school, whatever, right? So these are called rackets. One more concept, which sorry, I'm giving you the concepts which you should know, and if you are interested, you can read further on it, and I would also share this PPT with you. Stamps are basically like you can collect stamps, no? So you collect the hurts that you have been through in your childhood, and you collect those hurts as if they are they are stamps or they are like trophies, and you bring those up. It happens in all kinds of relationships. When you when you marry, you actually remember all the things which your spouse has told you, or the way he or she has made you feel, and you recall those even after years, right? So as if they are like stamps or trophies that you bring forth when needed, right? But they are actually very unhelpful, and it takes a lot of your time and energy to maintain a stamp collection, right? So that's the baggage of past experiences which are not helpful. So to lead a freer life, it's better to dump that stamp collection rather than carry it. Okay. Okay. Now, how to get rid of a racket? I'll just take another 5 minutes. I think. Please bear with me. How to get rid of rackets? Rackets. You just remember two acronyms: BAR and PRO. Pro. BAR and PRO. BAR is it's an acronym which is basically beliefs, actions, and reinforcements. Right. So how does the racket work? Suppose you feel that you are shy, right? That's your belief, right? And you go to a party, right? So since you believe that you are shy, what action you take? You go to a corner, pick up a drink, and just stick to yourself. That's right, right? Keep quiet. You try to merge with the furniture. So your belief leads to action. Now, what happens when you just go to a corner and stick to yourself without talking to anybody? Other people watch you and they conclude that you are shy, and they will not come to talk to you, right? So that reinforces your belief that yes, you are shy, and people will don't want to interact with you, right? That reinforces. So the racket actually continues. If you continue to have that belief, continue to have those action, and continue to get those reinforcements, then that racket continues. How to get out of that racket? How to break that bar? Belief, action, and reinforcement. How to break that bar? You use something which is called the PRO, right? PRO it stands for positive belief, resourceful action, and okay outcomes, right? So you break that belief that you are shy, right? You can always tell yourself that no, I'm not shy. I'll try a new thing, new way of behaving today, right? So you walk into a party, pick up your glass, and go to a person and talk to that person, right? That's a positive belief and resourceful action, and it will have okay outcome in the sense, once they see that you are talking to people, other people will also join in, right? Okay. So the antidote for bar is pro. Okay. So we can interrupt that cycle at any point by substituting different beliefs, different behaviors, and different reaction from others. It is difficult actually to change your belief, but you can actually force a new behavior, right? And through that behavior, your reinforcement will change, right? And that will gradually change your belief as well. Different reaction from others means, like, suppose you are standing in a corner and somebody notices you, and he decides in his mind that here is that person who is shy, but I will bring him out, right? That person takes it upon himself that yes, I would go and talk to him myself, right? So different reaction from others, but that would be depending on the others. The thing which you can do yourself is the different behavior that's within your control, but different reaction from others is not within your control. All right. So this is what we did today. We talked about appreciative inquiry, the 4 Ds of appreciative inquiry: discover, dream, design, and deploy. We also talked about appreciative inquiry as a three-legged stool: appreciation, inquiry, and wholeness. In transaction analysis, we discussed the concepts like strokes, positive and negative, attributions, injunctions, life positions. I'm okay, you are okay. I'm not okay, you are okay. That kind, the life positions, the script, the drivers, ego states, right? Parent, adult, child ego states. We talked about transactions, complementary transactions, cross transactions, ulterior transactions. And in ulterior transaction, we talked about hook, we talked about con, we talked about gimmick, we talked about response, payoffs, and we also talked about the stamps that people collect as if they are trophies, and the rackets, the bar and pro, right? How to get rid of rackets, right? Through changing your behavior, through changing your belief and getting newer reinforcement from others. That's what we did today. I think it's too late for question answer since we are having another session at 4 p.m. So you can ask your questions in that session. Thank you so very much. And I would like to see you at 4 p.m. today again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.